Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my live for this week. I hope you can hear me okay. Welcome, Sabrina. Lovely to have you. And I'm just waiting for it to go on to the live so I can make sure I can see both screens, in case there's anyone on the Facebook group that's wanting to join us this morning as well. So forgive me. Every time I come to do lives, everything changes. So it doesn't matter how much I practice, there's always a change. Okay, I think we're good to go. Right, so good morning and welcome. I want to talk about this morning something that I've been speaking about a little bit this week, about my dear friend Julia Dickenson in Australia, in Brisbane, or in Queensland, Australia, who broke her leg and shared with me her learnings from a broken leg. And I love that about my friend, because she always finds a lesson in everything. She's an extraordinary person to have a conversation with. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about that today, and how I see that relating, how what she shared with me really fits in terms of relationships. And so I want to go through those three learnings, and then if there's any questions at the end that you want to ask, feel free to do so. If you're watching this as a replay, then I would welcome you to put your questions in the Facebook group, and in the Facebook group after you watch the video, and we can have a conversation there for sure. So just for those who don't know me very well or at all, my name is Charlene Halbert, and I'm a relationship and intimacy coach. I'm originally from Australia, originally from Western Australia, which a lot of people don't even realize there's a west coast of our country, but there are people that live there. But I've been living in Barcelona, Spain for the last 12 years. And I work with women mostly, and couples. Women is my main focus, because often they're the ones that come seeking support and assistance for their relationships first. But I also love working with couples and helping people supporting people to transform their relationships, even if that's in a small way, just to stop fighting, as some people come to me for others really shifting it into a much more loving, connected space. So that's who I am. And so what I want to talk about today, the three lessons from learnings from a broken leg include the three following things that I'm going to talk about. The first one is, what do I want? And Julia learned this because with a broken leg, she was sitting on the couch with her leg in plaster up to her thigh, and she couldn't move around. And so she had to think about, what is it that I actually want? Because in her normal life, she's very busy and running around doing things. And now she had to really get clear on exactly what she wanted, because she was limited in how she could get what she wanted and her movement. So that was the first one. The second thing is, what resources do I have to get what I want? That is because she was sitting in a chair with a leg up. And so she had to think about, do I have the ability to cross the room? Can I call on, is my husband home to help me? Can my children help me with something? Who can I phone? What could I order to be brought to the house? All sorts of things, needing to really look extensively at what are her resources, both internally and externally, in terms of meeting that need that she had, or the things that she wanted. And then the third one is, what is my next step? So what step did she have to take to get what she wanted? So those three things have been what has sustained her through her 6 weeks of immobility. And she's very creative and resourceful, so she's managed very well to continue to do her work and help her family with their needs. So how does that relate to a relationship? Well, I love it because it does. That's my passion. So the first thing is, what do I want? Most of the clients that come to me are very aware of what they don't want. I don't want this. I don't want this relationship sometimes. I don't want to be fighting anymore. Or sometimes it's even, I don't want my partner to be doing a particular thing. They want to change their partner. What I want is to stop feeling a particular way. And it's very interesting that when I ask them what it is they do want in their relationship, they find it very hard to articulate that. And it's a really common thing because we most often are programmed to talk about what we don't want. So in this first part of the first learning, getting clear on what it is that you really want underneath your complaint or underneath the thing that you're saying is a really important step, because if you try, you can't always get, you don't, what you want underneath is often what you want to feel. So for example, if I had a client recently who told me that her husband kept touching her all the time, like when she was doing other things. And she would say, I just wish he would leave me alone. I just want to be left alone. I want him to stop touching me. But in reality, they had very little intimacy in their relationship. And when we got underneath that, there were several things going on for her. One is that she needed space at certain times, but she didn't know how to communicate that. She just wanted him to leave her alone. So needing some space and feeling misunderstood about what kind of intimacy she was looking for, because they were not having sex. And for her, there was this loss of trust, a lot of shame and guilt around the loss of this sexual part of their relationship, and not recognizing that that was underneath what her irritation was. So when she came to me with, I wish my husband would just stop touching me when I'm doing other things, we were able to get under what's really underneath that. And then there's a lot more space to find how to meet that need that you have. Another client might say something like, I just want my partner to listen to me. I don't feel heard. And what's underneath that is feeling that you're not important, feeling that you want to feel significant to your partner. And if you're not being heard, then it can feel like you're not important enough, or that you don't feel safe and secure that your partner can help you to feel the certainty that you want in your relationship. So getting to that piece underneath of what is it that I really want is sometimes a challenge, but to keep looking, what do I want to feel? What's the emotion that I want to feel underneath this complaint or nag or criticism or the I don't want this? What's underneath that? What's the positive intent under that? So that's number one. Number two, what resources do I have? We're incredibly resourceful human beings, and sometimes we forget to look in the most important places. So in your relationship, the resources can be both internal and external as well. The first thing is you'll have a lot about your relationship. If your relationship is not working as well as it used to, you might want to start with looking at what did you used to do in your relationship that worked. In the early days of a relationship, we often are doing lots of things. We often put our partner first. They feel important to you. You might communicate with each other a lot. You might give each other lots of hugs and kisses. There might be a lot of romance. You give your partner time. And then over time, as the years go by, families get in the way, work, stresses, taking care of your home, all of those other family, outside family stresses as well start to get in the way, and we stop doing the things that worked. So that can often be a really good resource to think back, what worked for us in the early days and what could we bring back? What are the resources that we had? And your resource often can also be the love that you have for each other, which can sometimes get forgotten in all of the external ways that we express ourselves. Other resources could be, looking at what do you do for others that are important in your life? Because very often in our intimate relationships, we become a little bit I don't want to say, we forget that our intimate relationship is sacred and important, and we'll do things for other people that we won't do in our relationship. And yet the relationship is the most important place to keep safe and sacred. So if you treat other people lovingly, because you know that that's the appropriate way to be with your friends, you might want to look at how do you speak to your partner? Are you critical of your partner? Are you always looking for what they do wrong? Because that's another big one, the focus that you have. There he goes again. There she goes again. Look, they're doing it again. I know, and expecting a particular response from someone, from your partner. So look at how you treat other people, and then look at your relationship and see, how am I taking care of this really important part of my life? Because a relationship is really, if you have that as a strong foundation, it enables you to fly in other parts of your life. And often a relationship gets put, I'll deal with that later, or as long as I take care of this, that can just kind of stay over there. But the reality is that how we experience life is about our relationships, and so it's super important. So that's another resource that you have, is who you are with other people. How can you bring more of that into your relationship? Having a different perspective on your relationship. I had a lovely session with a client of mine yesterday whose husband is a very busy man. He works very hard, has a very important job, and she lives in she's from another country, and their agreed role is that she takes care of the home and the family, and she also does a part-time job as well that works for herself, but he's the main breadwinner, and she's always taken care of the home and the children, and that's been her role. But now that her parents are aging, she needs to go home and take care of them a little bit. And he gets upset when she goes, because she normally takes care of his meals, and he likes to have his meals prepared by her. And this became a struggle for her because he complains that she goes away. And so through some conversations we had, she asked him, what is it that you don't like about me going away? And he said, I want you to take care of my meals because I'm too tired to do that when I get home. And she felt super disappointed. She was like, I wanted him to say that he misses me, and that he loves me, and he doesn't want me to go away because he loves me around. And we talked about what's underneath what he said. So it sounds like, okay, he just wants her to prepare meals, but what's really underneath that is that he really sees her as important to him, that he needs her in some way, and that he loves when she does things for him. And so when we saw that, when she had that perspective, she suddenly saw that him actually saying that was him telling her that he loves her and he misses her in his own way. And so being able to see that gave her a whole different view of their relationship. And so having that, just a little perspective shift, she can now see that his expression is his way of saying how much he needs her, and that makes her feel important and valuable to him. And from that place, they can sort out a way that he can get his meals while she goes to her home country. So that's a resource that we have, is taking a different perspective. And sometimes that means letting go of what we think we know about our partner and ourselves, actually, because we all grow and change. So that person that you started a relationship with years ago isn't exactly the same person that you're in a relationship with now. And we get into this habit of assuming we know our partner and knowing how they're going to respond and knowing how they do things. And in reality, we miss a really valuable opportunity, resource, to be curious about our partner and to be curious and ask questions, which is another resource that we have around understanding what's happening in the relationship and how to get what it is that you want. The third step then is or the third learning is, what's my next step? And so what your next step is, for me, the most important thing. And anyone who knows me knows that I talk about this a lot. There's a lot of quotes out there that say knowledge is power. I don't agree with that. I think knowledge is part of your power, because all the knowledge in the world is not going to do anything if you don't take actions. And very often I hear from my clients things like, oh, I know I need to do that, but, and then there's all the reasons why they don't do it, even if they have that knowledge or that awareness or that wisdom. So the next step for me is the most important part of this. So what is the action that you're going to take? If you have a habit of not being able to be heard, and let's say your thing is to keep nagging someone to listen, nagging your partner to listen to you in some way, then have a look. Does it work? If it's not working, what's the step that I'm going to take? Maybe I try closing my mouth and asking questions and listening myself for a change, because learning to listen to somebody is teaching your partner how to listen to you as well. And in my experience, wherever there's one partner that feels unheard, usually the other one does as well. It's just they experience it in a different way and they express it in a different way. So what's that step you're going to take? Can I just for one time stop and listen? Could I take an action of, if I want to bring more love, if what I want is to feel more love, my resources are all the things that I can do to bring love. So like another client of mine, she added giving hugs to her partner every time he came home from work, something that had died out, and she wanted to feel love and connection. So she began just giving him a simple hug when he came home from work and saying, I'm so happy to see you. And that's shifted loads of things in their relationship without even her talking about it. He now automatically does things for her, offers to do things with her, offers to spend time with her, just from that simple little thing of her making that connection with him and being responsible for how she gets that. So these are some what is the action that you're going to take? Maybe it's about practicing a new habit. New habits take time. So doing something once isn't going to change something if you've got a pattern that's been happening in your relationship for a long time. So you want to think about, what is it that I need to, what action could I take that I can do repeatedly in bringing about change? What is that thing that I could bring back? Like the hugs that I used to do with my partner. You know, maybe it was being playful, but you've forgotten how to be playful. Or maybe it's, you know, sitting across the table from each other, looking at each other's eyes. Or maybe it's about going on a date, or whatever that is for you. What is that step that's starting with what it is that you want? What are the resources that you have? And remember that you're way more resourceful than you think you are. And if not for you, you can also reach out to people around you who might have some good ideas. Always go to somebody who has a better relationship than you, than someone who has a worse one, because they won't give you good advice usually. And then take that next step. So I hope that that's been helpful. And I see my lovely friend Julia's online, says she's loves what I've done with the learnings. Well, Jules, I'm really so grateful for you giving them to me, because it's been really powerful and helpful for lots of people, and for me in my work as well. So thank you for that. So I'm wondering if there's any other questions. I'm not sure who else is on the group. I can't see anyone on the group. And Sabrina, you, I don't know if you have any questions specifically that you'd like to ask at this stage. No? Perfect. So I hope this has been helpful. And if you do have any questions, please, again, feel free to jump in on the group and ask any questions that you have there. And also, if you want to take your relationship to a different level, I would love to work with you. It's my passion to bring about more love and connection and intimacy and trust into relationships, and supporting people in making that shift. So feel free to book a call with me if you would like to. I offer a free session where we can get to know each other a little bit and see how I might be able to support you in that journey, if that's what you decide. So I wish you all a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And next week, just to alert you, I'm going to be having a conversation with a wonderful friend of mine, Emma Reynolds, who's a mindfulness meditation teacher. So look out for that next, I'm saying next Thursday, but I did put a poll in the group about perhaps looking at a different time and day. So if you haven't, let me know what your favorite time and day is for these lives, please respond to that poll, and I can shift this time if there's a better time for everybody. But next week, I will see you at, for now, 10 o'clock on Thursday, and we'll move the lives as we need to. Thank you for being here, and live in love. Take care. Bye.